Hello, Fiona Boulton here, the founder of Awakening Fertility. And not that long ago, I had the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Anthony Chaffee. And we were talking about hormone health for men and women and how specific diets, for example, will help women in their 50s to even mid-50s to have their menstrual cycle return, so their period comes back, and then they become more fertile. Or for some women, there isn't a menstrual cycle, all of a sudden they're pregnant and they're in their mid-50s. And for men, what we're seeing is men, up until their 70s, having the sperm health as if they were a guy of 25 years of age. So if this interests you, if this intrigues you, and I really hope it does, then I'd like you to have an open mind. Because what we end up talking about is mainly diet, but also lifestyle choices. I have a fertile lifestyle course designed predominantly for women and then their partners, so an offshoot for their partners. And in the fertile lifestyle course that I have, I talk about ways that you can remove certain environmental toxins from the body. You can detox from them, or simply replacing one product with another. Clean living. Clean living is essential because the buildup of toxins put our hormones out, especially the xenoestrogens. So xeno meaning fake estrogens. Okay, men aren't meant to have estrogen in their body. They're not meant to have estrogenic foods and things like that. And women, if we have too many fake estrogens, then we're going to have problems like we see, such as cysts, endometriosis, adenomyosis, fibroids, excess fat around the belly, cellulite, all these things that we don't really want. Now, when I start talking to Dr. Chaffee, we really come to the point quite quickly that insulin destroys hormones. It causes PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it just prevents the body from producing the hormones that we need to thrive, to feel good. So instead of having the insulin, what we want to be having is more fat. Now, he does go into plant sterols and things, but ultimately, we're going to turn diet on its head. What you know about nutrition, please just park. Unless you are perfectly healthy and you're just watching this for entertainment and your hormones are on track. However, if you're watching this and your hormones are not on track, if you're watching this and you want to have your period return, you still want to extend your fertility window. If you're a guy and you've lost your libido and you want to improve sperm health, for example, if you're trying to be a dad, then this is the video that can help you. Now, this is just a little snippet of the full 2-hour video, which is available on Patreon, so patreon.com/awakening fertility. Or if you'd like all the highlights, then you can check out more of what I'm offering here on the Awakening Fertility YouTube channel. So without further ado, let's check out what Dr. Anthony Chaffee has to say in this little highlight from our full 2-hour interview. But of course, once you've been predisposed to adrenal fatigue, you've got to be really, really careful. So then my husband's like, hey, check out keto. And then from keto, then we explored carnivore. But we were doing the keto wrong. Like, I didn't respond well with keto because of all the keto bars and all the synthetic stuff. It was just hurting my guts. And I did better on the carnivore. I lost weight for the first 2 weeks, had amazing mental clarity. Like, I cannot tell people that the brain fog completely goes. I was way more flexible. There was no inflammation in my body. I felt amazing. And I was drinking a lot of goat's milk and then all these eggs. And then I was just like piling on the weight. My husband was like, maybe this is not ideal for you. And I wasn't feeling as good anymore. But since then realized, hey, all that extra stuff is not really what you want for carnivore. You want to just strip it back and just have the red meat. I'm a salt person, so I definitely like the Celtic sea salt and water. So there's no stimulants. I think, I was still drinking teas and even herbal teas. And so I wasn't doing it correctly. it was for the first 2 weeks, and I got amazing results. And then I was like, oh, but I could do this and this. And that's when it just went wrong for me. But then I wanted to inspire my clients to go back to these roots. And especially when, you've spoken about the field that you work in, same as me, I help women who are in their 50s to reverse menopause, perimenopause, to then go on and have their menstrual cycle. And it's all about, rejuvenation and cellular repair and anti-aging, so that people can have more of a fertility window in my world. And I know that you've actually helped people with the carnivore diet to reverse these aging processes and to get their menstrual cycle back in their 50s.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So it's sort of it's sort of a consequence, and I have to give it as a bit of a warning because women in their 50s, they come in and see me for other reasons and say, look, I think this is the way you should go, and it's going to help you with your specific issues. And diabetes, prediabetes, autoimmunity, weight loss, all these sorts of things. I say, look, I think this is the best way to go. There are other options, but I think this is the best one for you. And if they're sort of in their early to mid, even mid to late sort of 50s, I'll just preface it and just say, hey, listen, this can actually heal all these things in these different ways. This is the way that insulin has so many different effects in your body, literally over 100 different effects on the body. And a lot of those effects are hormonal. So, we spoke before this, in your email and things like that, talking about PCOS. PCOS is the main driver of female-driven infertility. And so that's polycystic ovarian syndrome. And that is most typically caused by insulin resistance. So insulin blocks the conversion of testosterone into estrogen. And in fact, it can upregulate testosterone in the ovaries and also just stop it from turning into estrogen. So we make estrogen first, or sorry, we make testosterone first, and then we turn that into estrogen. And insulin will stop that in women. It can actually suppress testosterone in men.
Mm.
And so that's not good. And so people can get very hormonally suppressed. Women can go through early menopause. Women are going into menopause earlier and earlier, and we
I
have
know.
patients that come in, yeah, their 30s and 20s even, that their ovaries are just shutting down. Or are they? Or is it because they're putting in all these sorts of things that are blocking their ovaries from working properly? Or in men, I mean, I can't tell you how many men I've had come in that had looked like gonadal failure,
Mm.
and their testosterone just bottomed out. 19-year-old kids, 20-year-old kids should have testosterone screaming out of their ears. And it's extremely, you wouldn't expect that in an 80, 85-year-old, right? So, something like a testosterone of like 100, 120. I have 19-year-olds come in with that. Their doctor would just say, oh, your
It's
balls don't work. Here's testosterone for the rest of your life, right? And people do that. And, there are people that have been put on testosterone in their early 20s with that situation, and they've just been on testosterone the rest of their life. Probably not necessary in most of those cases. Um, in these cases with my patients, did not put them on testosterone, even though they would absolutely have qualified for that.
Mhm.
But let's try and see if we can address these underlying issues. Okay, stop eating all this garbage. Stop drinking alcohol. It's hard to sell that to a 20-year-old, but
Yeah.
just do what you can, and just eat meat. Just eat fatty meat, and get on a carnivore diet or as close to it as possible. And one of these kids went from 100 testosterone 120 up to 400 in 2 months,
Wow.
right? So he was not in gonadal failure. His body worked just fine. It was just being impeded by the things that he was eating, and had an insufficiency of appropriate nutrients that were going to allow him to make proper testosterone. Same thing happens in women. We see women, in primary ovarian failure, or is it? And we change their diet and we change what they're doing, and then all of a sudden, no, that's not it. And so I see women in their early 50s to mid 50s, even past mid 50s, that haven't had their period since they were 49,
Mhm.
and they're coming in for other reasons, and just say, hey, just so you know, this can improve your hormones. Here are all the different ways. And you could potentially have a period again, have a cycle again. You could become fertile again. So you need to be careful and just be mindful of that, because the last thing you want to do is just not be mindful of that. And then all of a sudden on your first cycle, before you even had a period, You all
Hmm.
of a sudden get pregnant again. My friend Dr. Ken Berry was putting people on ketogenic diets early on. Now he starts warning people about this, that they had these women, they were in their mid-50s. He had 3 women come to him with positive pregnancy tests going, what the hell did you do to me?
Yeah.
You know? So that could freak people out, having kids that are out of the house in college, maybe they're having kids of their own, all of a sudden now they're pregnant again. They're like, no, we're not doing this. And so
So for
apparently
my
they
clients, that's a dream come true. It's like if
well,
they want to
yeah,
extend the fertility window. So that's awesome, especially the women who,
yeah,
are going through perimenopause or menopause.
yeah,
But even for
absolutely.
those women that are going through menopause, just to digress for a second, that are
Mhm.
suffering and they're like, I don't know what to
Mhm.
do. I've been told to do HRT. What would you recommend for those types of women to make it easier for themselves? The women that don't want to have more children, for example.
Well, I mean, I think you just support your body and your hormones as well as you can. We're all going to go through hormonal changes in our life. Guys get a bit more of the longer stick on this one.
Mhm.
And I've met men in their 70s that when they're on a carnivore diet, they get the testosterone that you'd expect in a healthy 25-year-old. So that's good for us. It's not,
Yeah.
but other we always see all get other changes as well. But women do become infertile at some point, and their body stops making the requisite hormones. But your adrenal glands actually make a lot of these hormones as well, for both men and women. And so if you are able to support your body and you're able to give yourself proper nutrition, and again, you remove these barriers to appropriate hormonal health and overall health, then you feel a lot better. You're less symptomatic going through menopause. I have a lot of women that just feel fine and they transition. But yes, you're going to have symptoms and you're going to have some of these things, but they're much more mild, than they were otherwise if they weren't doing a carnivore diet or strongly animal-based ketogenic diet. High fat, a lot of fat. You want fat. That's good for you. It's what your hormones are made out of. All your hormones are made from cholesterol. That's why we're trying to desperate. Our brain's made of cholesterol. Hormones are made of cholesterol. Every single cell in your body is physically made out of cholesterol. Why are we trying to just destroy cholesterol and get this out of our body? That doesn't make any damn sense. We're made out of cholesterol. And so you want cholesterol. Your body makes most of it, but you still need some. And you want to stop eating all these other things that can disrupt your cholesterol, like plant sterols. So plant fats have sterols as the plant's cholesterol, and that's close enough to our cholesterol that our body looks at that and says, "Oh, we have enough. We don't need to make any more."
Mm.
And now you don't make enough, and now you don't have enough for your normal functions or your hormones. You can't make vitamin D, which is a hormone, and your brain. All of these things are very important to keep in balance. You want to put things in your body that you need, and keep out things that you don't want. So for people going through that transition, I always want to do that first. Um, I have I still have some patients that are so symptomatic. They have horrible brain fog and terrible energy and mental clarity, and it's just like their body's just not working, their brain's not working. Eventually that will transition and they'll be okay. But they're like, listen, I have a mortgage and I need my brain to work,
Yeah.
and so I need this. And so while they're transitioning onto a carnivore diet, to help them now, sometimes have HRT or something like that as a short-term bridge.
Hmm.
That's one thing, but I always look to get people off medication. I,
Yeah.
I hate putting people on medication. I'm very happy that I take people off far more medication than I put them on. I sort of feel like a bit of a fraud because I'm a doctor that like just tries to take you off medication as opposed to put you on. Like I can put people on medication if I feel that they need it,
Yes.
but that's not what I try to do. I try to just do something that just give people just normal, ordinary advice. Hey, eat well,
Well.
live properly, and you won't need any of this stuff. You don't need me. Doctors are not there to manage your whole life. We are supposed to be here just in case things go really wrong. You have an accident, kids falls from a tree, there's some horrible infection, snake bite, these sorts of things. We're not supposed to be people. You're not supposed to be this broken. We're not supposed to be this damaged. We're not supposed to be just falling apart constantly and just in this constant struggle against entropy where our body's just falling apart, where we have to get tune-ups just every few months. We just constantly have to be fixing ourselves and patching ourselves together. That that's not normal.
Yeah.
Humans have never had to do that before. The natural state of humanity, the natural state of all life on Earth, is that of health. If you have a sickly species that's just not very robust, they're going to die. They're going to go extinct. And in fact, you can't have that, because every species evolved from a species before them who were successful. And so they weren't sickly. There've never been sickly animals, ever. They get sickly because of some sort of environmental impact. They can't get their normal food and they have to try to adapt. And it's hard for a while. And then they sort of adapt, and survival of the fittest. And some adapt and some don't. And they die, right?
Mm.
So all animals alive now, all plants alive now, all life alive now has gone through that gauntlet of evolution and come out the other side battle hardened and ready. We should not be sick. If we're all just falling apart like this, that means there's something very, very wrong.
So, what do you think? Are you hungry for more? Do you have more questions? Leave them in the comments below, and I look forward to getting back to you soon.